Let's talk now to City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangena about the day's breaking news. A short time ago, the utility sent out a statement confirming it received about 2,000 complaints to do with outages. It says load shedding is playing a major role in the many crises to do with power in the city of Johannesburg, as I was saying, 2,000 calls, likely more people affected. Let's talk about this then with Isaac Mangena, the spokesperson for City Power. Isaac, good to have you on Daytime Update. Welcome. I was just saying that number, 2,000 complaints you say you've received. How quickly are you working through them?
Thanks for having us, Temegile, and good afternoon to the viewers. Yes, we have actually beefed some teams to ensure that we deal with this, we respond quicker and restore power after this load shedding. Most of those are those that come after, when we restore power and people do not get electricity as we have promised because of several issues that include theft and vandalism of the infrastructure during the downtime when there are no lights. Criminals take that advantage of this and tamper with the infrastructure, leading to the post-load shedding outages. But we also have issues of equipment failures where we've got our mini substations and transformers blowing up during the restoration because of the inrush current that is happening. So we are saying as City Power that load shedding is an undesired inconvenience that unfortunately we have little or no control over, and it is really stretching our resources. And the reason why we've got so many outage calls is because we are not even able to respond to the normal individual call outages because of we have to basically ensure that we divide ourselves between attending to those outages and also to ensure that we attend to load shedding. Our operators have to move in 2-hourly intervals to ensure that they go from one substation to the next to ensure that we deal with this. So you can imagine the amount of time and even effort and even the staff that was even on leave. We have to basically recall them so that they can also come and beef up and attend to some of these calls that we have during load shedding.
So if I log a call with you now and add to this long list of 2,000 complaints already, how long should I expect to wait before power is restored, or at least a technician is sent out to come have a look?
Look, the 2,000 calls may not really be your individualized calls. So most of these are your high voltage and even low voltage calls, medium voltage calls that we are able to deal with quickly. For example, if we are to restore a Windsor substation, and it affects most of the areas around Cresta and North Cleve and so forth, we will be able to fix and restore Windsor substation on its own. And in that way, we may be dealing with about 1,000 calls. But if it was an individual call, that's when we basically will be stretched to the limit. So most of these 2,000 calls are those that are concentrated around one substation instead of a cable theft here or a meter not reading at Tembegile's house there. So that in that way we're able to deal with this. But also, as I mentioned, we are basically beefing up our teams. We have, because now we are accepting that this is something that we'll have to live with almost every week, the load shedding. So we are basically bringing in new teams to ensure that we deal with this. We are dealing with the issue of the overtime, the shifting that is happening within City Power, so that at least we can be able to align some of the work that needs to happen at the demand that load shedding brings with the overtimes that we have to give to our staff members. So we are also obviously training new operators so that at least we are able to can respond.
Okay, but am I right to say, as things stand, there isn't a standard waiting time where we can say maybe you expect to wait 3 hours, 7 hours, 12 hours?
Look, at City Power, we obviously want to restore electricity as quickly as possible. So we cannot really say how much time somebody needs to wait. Of those 2,000 calls, about 500 of them are over 24 hours. So those could be different reasons, including the fact that, that I spoke about cable theft earlier, that you may find that there are instances where a cable has been stolen during load shedding. And for us to be able to know about that, it means we have to actually walk that network to be able to pick some of the faults that happen during load shedding. So that also takes time on its own. So that's why sometimes it will even be difficult for us to basically say when is electricity going to be restored when there is a cable fault. You'll remember in El Dorado Park, we ended up taking about 4 to 5 days trying to deal with the aftermath of that fire that happened, but also load shedding because of the rampant theft and vandalism that was happening in that area. And that means we have to go through about over 10 kilometers of cabling, walking through each and every one of those to identify the fault and to do the repair. So when you pick one fault, there is another one ahead in the same network. So it obviously gets difficult, but as I mentioned, some of these things are really due to the fact that the demand is getting high due to the dipping in the weather, but also the issue of the load shedding, which really is not helping the situation.
Are there specific areas, Isaac, where you're seeing the greatest concentration of these problems?
Most of the problems that we have, especially these calls, are in the south, Lenasia areas. We also had issues in El Dorado Park. There was a transformer that basically had an oil leak, but we managed to fix that one. We also are having issues in the area around Ruven, that is the south of Johannesburg, around Terfontein, Malbatten areas. Rambek also last night into this morning we had issues, but we managed to basically move the needle in terms of attending to most of the calls in those areas. So yeah, those are some of the areas that we had pressure on.
Is the situation completely out of your control? Because I know you've also said what load shedding has done now, it's added to a previous backlog that had been caused by inclement weather.
So when there's no load shedding, we get time to basically breathe and do other things that will prevent further outages, like your planned maintenance. We're able to basically work on issues of replacing cables that were stolen and so forth. So while we are busy doing that, we are hit with load shedding, which means that we are not able to basically work on what we're supposed to work on. We're not able to do maintenance when there's load shedding. So if there is load shedding for the next 2 weeks, it means the planned maintenance that was supposed to happen is parked until that time, and this means that anything can happen. Is the same as if your car was supposed to go on servicing this week, and for some reasons you are not able to take it, and you are forced to drive it for the next month. It might break down, and you might have even bigger problems than you already have. So the issue of maintenance obviously is a big one, but also the fact that during this load shedding there are opportunistic individuals, the criminals that actually target our network, our infrastructure. They vandalize, they steal cables, and that also takes us back, because it means that the material and the workmanship that we have, that we could be responding to load shedding, we have to basically divide it and take it to other areas that we're supposed to deal with this. It's really, like I'm saying, it's obviously the load shedding comes from Eskom. We have to abide as the municipality.
Isaac Mangena, spokesperson for City Power, good to have your time, so thank you.